Morning, this is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. Looks like it's going to be a nice and sunny day. Well, it's supposed to be partly cloudy later on. Yesterday was partly sunny, and my batteries went up to 14.2 volts, which is good. The solar charge controller was topping them off nicely. And last night they were at 13 some odd volts, which is great. But this morning they were down to 11.5. And it was cold in the night. Now, as the temperature warms up, the batteries are gaining in voltage. Now, this is my second year with these batteries, and I'm seeing a trend. When the battery temperature is cold, the batteries are, they have reduced capacity. So, that's just how it is. Today it's going to warm up. Batteries will be nice and good, and hopefully top off again. But I think it's like a, I don't know the actual term for it, but anyway, the voltage shown and the capacity of the batteries is reduced with colder temperatures. There's nothing I can do about that except to keep them warm. The chickens are costing me money right now, so I'm probably going to be eating some chicken dinner soon, because there's nothing for them to forage anymore, and now I have to feed them 3 times a day. And Big Mouth gets to keep his head because he's protected the flock repeatedly, and his red friend, those two guys are never ever seen without one another, so I can't kill one of them. But the silver roosters, there's definitely 2 that are going to be on my dinner plate. It's not going to be easy, because I hand raised them. But it's, I guess, how it is. Living out in the country, you get hands-on experience. You don't just go to McDonald's and order chicken nuggets. It's processed and doesn't look like anything that came out of a farm. Out here you got to do it yourself. It's dirty and up close and personal. But I'm going to have to do that, because I can't afford to be feeding them for no return. The countertop looks incredible. Really nice. Now I'm going to give it a light sanding, they say with 220 grit sandpaper, and then coat it again. Bug and Ann and Man and Many Things are coming over later. We're not sure if there's anything they can actually help me with right now, because everything is all little finishing up details inside. It's not a lot that people can help me with right now. Saturday, tomorrow, today's Friday, yeah, tomorrow John is coming over and going to help me with the wood stove. We're going to revamp the entire setup and put the heat shielding on. And now that's something I'm going to need help with. So we'll do that together. But problem is, it's really cold right now. It's about 40 degrees in here right now. And I can't really do the polyurethane. I can't run the wood stove without the heat shielding. That is a danger. I did it once just for testing. I am not going to be running that regularly. A lot of people advise running the wood stove to keep it warm in here so I can do the polyurethane. But it's not safe. Actually, the fumes from the polyurethane, this stuff, they have warnings about flammability and stuff. They say even when you're sanding, the dust will spontaneously self-ignite. Pretty crazy stuff. So, you know, that has me a little bit leery on that. So right now, because it's cold, and I'm going to do this later on, I'm going to give it a sanding after everything's warmed up and do that top coat again. I think I'm going to fire up the chop saw and start chopping some of these branches and stuff I've got out here. That's my morning projects. Morning work is to get the firewood going. All these branches go into the chop saw. I've got a whole mess of them out here. So I think I'm going to run the extension cord out here, set up the chop saw, and fire up the generator and start cutting some wood. shut off the generator so I could talk to you. I'm not done working. I'm gonna keep going, but this is real quick work. Now there's a few days of burning right there. And those of you who remember my experiences in my first winter out here, is this Zoom? No. My first winter out here, I was hand cutting this stuff. This is old rotten wood. It came off the forest floor. A lot of it is in bad shape, but honestly, look inside. That's BTUs. BTUs are what counts in winter. And although it looks rotted, you put it out in the sun and you dry this stuff out and you cut it open, you've got nice BTUs in there. That's heat. That translates to heat. So look at this thing. Look, you wouldn't normally think you could burn that in a wood stove, right? I mean, that looks gone, beyond gone. You cut it open, that's heat. That'll burn. That's hardwood. That'll burn. So all this stuff here, look at that. You wouldn't normally pick that up, right? Sopping wet, soggy off the forest floor. Cut that open. There's some BTUs there. In my efficient wood stove, that'll last. If you remember, I was hand cutting this junk a year and a half ago or so. I was burning this in my potbelly antique wood stove. And that was my primary source of fuel for heating that old camper. And considering how efficient my new stove is, I'll probably be using a lot of this again this year as well. And honestly, this saw here, the miter saw, is so much faster than trying to use a anything else. I've tried a Sawzall and I get blisters like mad. Chainsaw, forget it. It's too dangerous trying to cut that stuff with a chainsaw. If anybody's got better suggestions, great. I mean, table saw, sure, but you've got an exposed blade and the thing can kick. Here you can't really kick because you're pushing the wood against the back fence. The blade is pushing against the back fence, and if it kicks, can't go very far. Which you may have seen in the video a couple times. It kicked and all it did is bounced a little and no problem. This is safer, in my opinion, than anything else I've tried. And when I look at how fast you can prepare a little pile of wood, that's a couple days of burning. So, in my opinion, it's well worth it. Not to mention the fact that this stuff is everywhere, and all the branches from the trees I cut down will also be processed in exactly the same way. Now, the Sawzall is useful for cutting branches off branches like here. There's a Y. That has to be cut off. And then I can feed that whole entire thing into the miter saw, chop that up for firewood. The most time-consuming thing is just getting this stuff over there to the saw in piles, ready to be cut up, because it's all through the forest out here. So anyway, I'm gonna just keep on cutting until the guys show up, get a nice pile of wood. If I get a chance, maybe I'll show you how much I came up with in the end. Sorting through what I can take over and cut for firewood, and what's too small is going to be mulch for the garden. lot of this is already dried and cured nicely.
I have a ton of resources here. Just a matter of processing it into firewood. So back over to the chop saw. I'll fire up the generator. I got a nice little pile here to process. Once that's all cut up, I'll have at least a week or so of burning right there. That's every little bit counts. Oh, there's a nice pile of wood. It's yeah, you can see it next to the cement blocks. Nice little pile. That's maybe a week of burning. Maybe. I won't know until I really get to it. But it's at least a few days of burning than a new stove. And it also depends on the temperature outside, of course, on how long you can burn stuff like this. And then I've got little piles all over the place. There's some junk. That'll run through the table saw. That'll get burnt. All that has to be processed. This is all scrap wood from the, well, minus the cardboard box, but this is all scrap wood from my construction. All has to be burnt. All the piles over there, anything that's rotten is either getting run through the mulching machine or burnt. I still got a little bit of wood left from last year to process. Not much, but a little bit there. Piles of stuff everywhere.